For the past 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, Nigeria has been having challenges that are beckoning and waiting for answers and solutions. That is why we are bringing to you our program, State of the Nation. And this is going to come up on our flagship program this morning on ITV. I am hereby inviting you to join me, Bola Bakare, your host, on State of the Nation, so that we can hasten the motions that brings national development. It's going to be a regular basis on Tuesdays. Make it a date with me. I'll be there waiting for you, and then we shall discuss Nigeria on an holistic level.
Good morning and welcome to your lofty program, State of the Nation, where we hasten the motions for national development. And when it comes to national development, you're part of it too. On our morning brief today, we shall dwell on the factor of the news that is rife out there, a news that concerns our civil service. And honestly, if you know what the civil service is the engine room of governance. It is the civil service that is a constant in governance. Politicians come in, they go. They come in, they go. They spend max of about 8 years and they go. But when it comes to civil servants, they spend all their working years in the service for 20, 30 years thereabout, and they get retired, and then we wish them well at the end of the day. But what happens when the situation of the head of the civil service, which they call the H.O.S, is being accused of things that borders on a factor we should all look into closely? And that is something we have looked at closely, and then we have been able to come up with what we find out, our findings as to what is going on. Lately, the H.O.S has been accused of employment racketeering. This is a bad one. It is an allegation that some civil society organizations are putting out there. But when it comes to allegations, we should take time out to look at the allegations closely and then take a good picture of what is really happening. The language is foul. Using the language of racketeering is foul, because racketeering means you're making money out of a bad situation. But let us look at all the accusations and look at what is being done in that way, so that you and I can have the opinion of what is wrong somewhere and where the blame is supposed to be apportioned. She has been accused of blocking 17 federal directors from participating in promotion exams to the level of a permanent secretary. I would like you to be part of this discussion, because our findings borders on the fact of what you think. We will give you an idea of what to think about. Like I said earlier, she was being accused of blocking 17 directors from the examination. For God's sake, this is an examination. It is a promotional examination. Is she going to become, excuse me, both the H.O.S and the permanent secretaries that are going to be in all those offices? The answer is no. In an examination, which we all know, there is what is called a cutoff mark. I sat for examinations, and I'm sure you have sat for examinations too. There are instances, there are people better than you, ahead of you, that scores more than you do. And there are people who score less than you do. So what do you expect in a space of integrity? Do you go and pick a man who has 10% as against a man who has maybe 60, 70, or 80%? That is where some of these accusations come to the fore. They do not want to look at the element of merit, the element of being good on the job. They are looking at the element of, I have been here for a long while, so I should get an automatic promotion. This is not the way to go. And this is not the way the H.O.S. presently told. She accorded merit where needed. For God's sake, there are instances too where if you don't have the prerequisite to move on to the next level of operations, what do you want your boss, the H.O.S., to do? There is nothing she can do. All she can do is, she doesn't even mark the papers. The results are being passed to her, and then she deliberates on, okay, there is enough room for 10 PSS. Let's have the top 10 in those positions. And I trust Nigerians. We like negotiations, we like lobbying, we like cutting corners, we like under the table. And when some other ones that didn't make it to that cutoff mark start making consultations for under the table procedures, and this does not sail through, we end up having a situation where everybody says, oh, the H.O.S. is into racketeering. For God's sake, we should find a better solution and think along integrity and tenable lines. She's also been accused of frustrating recruitment into the civil service. These are the same people that never took time out to read a government gazette that says there is an embargo on recruitments. I repeat that. There is an embargo on recruitments. We have enough people in the civil service. We cannot employ more because it makes our wage bill higher. So when somebody who's in charge says there is an embargo here and then we cannot employ anyone presently, though futuristically that can be done, but presently there is no room for that. Some people at the end of the day go out too to say, no, she's into racketeering, she's employing her own people and at the same time blocking every other person. I would like to say this to Nigerians out there. If you think you can cut corners and make your kid or your ward get employed, let me give you this fact. Someday, there will be a query as to that employment. And one of the first rules, one of the first criteria of employment is, where is the advert that employed you? You might be enjoying it today, but sometimes, someday down the line, and when there is call for a reduction, people like you will leave because there was no advert that created the opportunity for you to be employed. Keep that at the back of your mind. So also, there have been serious allegations of, well, she's not performing well, she's not doing enough. But for God's sake, there is another anomaly that is a serious one. And that is a case of ghost workers. I repeat myself, ghost workers. There are loads and loads and loads of ghost workers in all facets, governments of the Federation, from the national to the state to the local governments. Over the years, they've been having, we found out 100,000 ghost workers. It doesn't end there. In less than 6 months, you're hearing again, we found out another 50,000 ghost workers. It doesn't end there. This is a great anomaly. A great anomaly because some people are fleecing the government for the much needed funds that we could have used for infrastructure development and some other developments. Little wonder the civil service came up with IPIS, IPPIS, which means Integrated Personnel and Payroll Information System. This is a system where the service has moved away from the days of analog that makes it easy for ghost workers to be embedded in the system to a case of tech, where your record is there technological-wise. ICT has taken your record. Ghost workers are exempted on a large scale. When the beneficiaries of these ghost workers come, now found out that they can't and will not be getting all those free and loose funds, they will automatically start screaming. It is their screaming that they throw at the end of service. But from our angle, from our findings, head of service, kindly carry on with your good works. Integrity is what is needed. Like I said earlier, you are the engine room of governance. And when there is malfeasance in the engine room, the total government, the nation as a whole, becomes a problematic state. We should all listen to ourselves and make sure things that we do is for the integrity and development of our nation, Nigeria. Honestly, I will say this again. We need someone, and we need people of integrity, people of merit, that will drive our nation. So when we see people that are doing that, we should, for God's sake, applaud them rather than bantering fake news because we want to put them down. Putting them down is not the way to go. And somebody who has integrity, there is no amount of fake news that you banter out there that will bring the person down. On a serious note this morning, I would like to say, let us give kudos where it is needed. Let us give it to Professor Yemi Esan for doing a good job in managing the civil service while she is still there.